Okay, we have our chassis, our wheels. Now we are going to make axle holes and axles. So this is where our notes come in important because the front is 4, the back is 8 millimeters, and we need to make the axle holes through the chassis 1 millimeter bigger than those things. So we're going to add a little spot in the back so the back wheel axle is a little higher. So we can add it so our hook stretches across a little higher. So it kind of is out of the way of the frame for when we are twisting up the rubber band car. So we're going to go ahead and let's do a sketch. So we'll come in here. I'm going to use, if my snap grid's set to 1, okay. So we'll do something like this for the back. Can use this little tool here. Click on the line and make it, oh, I don't want that. Oh, let's do Control Z here. Oh, what are we doing here? Stretching it weird. Oof. Okay, never mind. We'll just go ahead and do this guy. Stretch it here. That's what I wanted. Okay. So click that center vertices and then you'll stretch it out. Finish sketch. Cool. Now we have this shape. This can go on the back. If you guys remember from the other videos, the edge of this is 3 millimeters thick. So we're going to make this 3 millimeters tall. And then we're actually going to flip it 90. I press D so it's on the build plate. And this is 7 tall. Check over here, 7 tall, which means this is going to go up 7. So we can drag it up 7 millimeters. And then we're actually going to, I think if we do this, click both, hit F so it's kind of center, zoom in over here, L, line it up with this edge and line it up with this edge. Blink. All right, now we have it lined up in that back corner, which is a nice spot for the axle to go. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and Control D, duplicate this, use my arrow keys to slide another one across there. First, I'm going to group this. Let's do this way, just so we know for sure it's lined up. Then I'm going to hit L, hit on that edge, and on this edge. So now we know it's on that back corner. Group them. Perfect. Okay. Now we have a spot for our back axle hole to go through. So we're going to grab a cylinder that's a hole, actually, and we're going to set it here. Doink, right there. We want this to be, I hit F so we can center it here. Slightly bigger. Our back axle is 8 millimeters, so we want this to be 9. Tab, 9. Enter. We can go ahead and move this maybe right there. There's no real specific. It's just whatever looks good. Okay, we click off of it, and then it's going to go ahead. We want to make sure the sides are 64, and then we want to drag that through. So that looks good. And then we'll go ahead and group those. So now you have a back hole for where your axle could go. It could be a bigger thing. This is totally fine. It's just where the axle is going to spin. So it should be 9 millimeters because it's going to be bigger than the back axle hole itself. Perfect. And then we can go hit F, come up to the front. We could do a little piece up here for our front axle, or you could just take the front axle and throw it through the car somewhere here. We'll switch the sides to 64, which is what I'm going to do. The front axle is 4 millimeters, so we're going to make this hole 5, so it rolls through just fine. And the way I'm getting this plane was when you click this, if you just drag it to like the shape and where you want it to go, it'll choose that as like the plane it's going into. That's how it ends up on the side. Normally we've been dragging out the pieces just like this. So that's why that's happening. Anyways, we got a spot for the front axle to go through, which is fine by me. We could, if you wanted, maybe move this a scooch forward. I'm gonna hit D, see where we're at on the build plate. And I know this is 7, this is 5, so I'm gonna just come up 1. So that way I know it's centered between the top and the bottom. So it's 5, 7 total. So there should be 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter. That might be a little thin, but we'll try it. We'll see how it looks. All right, squeeze it through. It doesn't matter if we're cutting out. Well, yeah, here's what we're gonna need to do. Here's where I don't like it. We're going to change that. I don't want it to cut through our chassis frame there. So we'll lose some structure. So let's go ahead. Let's do a semicircle on the front. Okay. So semicircle, we'll make it 10 high. Sure. 20 wide. Sure. And then we'll make it a width of 3. We could even make it shorter if you want. Maybe make it 5. Just to give ourselves a little bit more of a space. We're going to drag it up to 7, which is the height of the chassis. We're going to go ahead and select what should be 2 pieces. We're going to hit L, and we're going to line it up in these front corners. Here and here. There we go. We're going to drag both. Oh, sheesh. Okay. Now we're going to have to do that again. Whoopsies. Let's not do that again. Grab those 2. Control G to group them. Okay. Just trying to get a better angle here. Sometimes they get all mixed up with the way things look. Okay. We're going to ungroup it for a second. Control D, duplicate. I'm going to slide this over. It should, in theory, line up right on that corner. Cool. Now we're going to group it. Now I'm going to go back to my axle hole. All right, coming back. Boom. We go 5, 5. This is going to be a little higher now. Let's try and kind of center it here. Even a little higher is probably fine. Cool. Whatever looks good. Drag it all the way through the other side. Make sure it's through. Grab both shapes. Should be 2 shapes. Group it. Now you got your axle holes. Okay. Now, all that would be left would be to make the axles. So we know the width is 70. The front wheel is a height of 5. So 5, 5, and 70 is going to be 80. We want about 1 millimeter to our space. So we're going to make the back axle, remember, 4 millimeters thick. So we're going to pull out a cylinder. Go to 64 sides. It's going to be 4 by 4, 4 tab 4. And this height, we're going to make it, it's 80. We'll go 82 would put us at the width of the car through the wheels and then give us a little bit of extra space so the wheels are spinning freely through the axle hole. Remember, this hole should be 5. This width is 4. So it'll tightly fit on the wheels, but it'll spin through this frame. For the back axle, we're going to go 8 millimeters. We have it in our note over here. So it's going to be slightly different, though, because these, I think we made 7. So 7 plus 7, that's going to be 84. Plus 2 more, we'll say is 86. Then we need to change the thickness to be 8 by 8. We want this to be stronger. The other thing we've kind of figured out is we're going to flip this actually 90 real quick, drop it to the ground. There's something we want to do. We want to put a zip tie through here. So there's a spot for the zip tie to kind of go through. So we're going to make a little 2 millimeter, maybe we'll do by 1 or by 1 centimeter. And then we're going to grab both these shapes, hit L, center. So, oopsies. Hit L. So we centered it there, centered it here. Now we're going to group those 2 shapes. So this is actually going to give us a spot for the zip tie to go through. So the zip tie is not just spinning when the rubber band is pulling on it. So we'll use the zip tie, little notch on the zip tie to hook our rubber band around. Our rubber band will hook around this. We'll build up all that tension to get the rubber band going, stretched out. So, but we do need to flip it back. So we'll flip it back 90, hit D so it's on the build plate. That way we can print it easier. It doesn't print as well in the other direction. So now we have our front and back axle. And remember, if we fit these things closer, you can actually throw these in the center here because that'll save us space on the build plate. So kind of the closer everything is, the faster it will print because the tool head doesn't have to move back and forth as many times. So you can put it closer, kind of tightly together. That way the tool head doesn't have to go all the way across the build plate and back. And it just saves a little bit of time, which is helpful. Saves some work on the printers. The printers last longer, etc. Okay, we can delete these notes if we want. So I'm going to hit delete, delete, delete. Get out of my life. There you go. All right, just move them out of the way. Now we have our things. The last thing we're going to need is a little hook. There's a bunch of ways you could do a hook. The easiest is we want to do some sort of 45-degree angle shape. So, and we can go ahead and throw it there. So I'll just pull the triangle out. Let's make it like 0.5 centimeter. Maybe make this 15. Sure. Okay, now we're going to actually just go Control Duplicate, hit M. Okay, and we're going to mirror it vertically. Oh, goodness. Okay. Hit M. Well, you'll mirror it this way, actually, for, oops, I guess I didn't hit D. Control D. M. Mirror it this way. Where's my vertical duplicate? Mirror it that way. Cool. Slide this over. Do, 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 do. And that actually works as a fine hook. And then Control G, group it. So that could be a hook. If you want just something like that. So we have the thing hooking on here. So print's easy. Let's turn it 90. So it's sitting in there. If you want, you could just have it like that. Okay, let's go L. Oof. Are you going to make me do it that way? Really? We'll center it there. Okay, that looks pretty clean. That's a nice spot for the hook. So it's attached to the little frame. It can hook on up here. So that's where our rubber band from the back axle that's going around the zip tie will hook on. It'll stretch out, building up tension. You could put it forward more if you wanted. I think the more forward we have it, the more tension we can kind of build. So if you want to do that, you can. But that works. Let's go ahead and group those. So we should be done. That's the end of our car. Once we print this, we put it all together. Put our zip tie through the back axle, stretch it out, put our rubber bands on the back so we have a little tire traction. We should be good to go.